Right, I'm trying to make it a day of actually getting some YouTube content out. So I'm going to show you a halo top assembly. This is the halo top, and I'll show you the machining in just a second. Firstly, I'm going to just show you how we finish it. So if let's just come a little bit closer, I'll just show you. If I hopefully this will come into focus. If not, I apologise. But basically, it's got a little pip on the end of it. So what I just need to do is just trim that off, and I just use a pair of pliers. Normally we actually use end cutters, and then we sand it. I'm probably going to get slated for lack of PPE here, but simply, it's only acrylic, so I'm not too worried. But we'll just give it a little run over with a 120 grit sander, just like this, just to give it a texture for the glue to adhere to. And also just to obviously get rid of that little pip, and just to make sure we've not got a bump there anymore. There's still slightly just something. Okay, so that's our top. So what it will do is we will clean it up after we've actually assembled it. Now we have laser cut. Now if I could just grab the laser cut tops, there we go. We've got laser cut stainless steel tops that we have cut by local lasering company. They're 38mm. The diameter of this is 38mm, and we use, I can't say it now, Cytal something Acculate, basically super glue. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, okay, but I looked up a load of different adhesives, and honestly the best thing to glue acrylic to stainless steel, brass or copper was super glue. So, you know, that's what I'm going to use. So we'll get on and I'll show you how I do that next step. So what we've got is, with our acrylic, we've 3D printed a little ring, and the idea of this little ring is literally just so that we can clamp it in the vise after we've stuck our top on. Now the first thing I have to do with this ring is spray it with wax. I've had a situation before where I didn't spray it with wax, and the ring got stuck to the part after I've glued it, because you do get, along with all the other things. Right, my wax is a bit broken. There we go. Yeah, I had a situation where basically because you get like glue squidging out, the ring got stuck to the acrylic and basically ruined the acrylic. So yeah, just give it a little wax spray, and then I squeeze it into the holder. I've made the holder too tight, if I'm honest, and we've just got just the one at the minute, but that's absolutely fine. So I just need to just wipe off the top, which I'm just going to do with this cotton. Right, and then simply, I like to use Bondits glue. Oh, haven't gone off. I like to use Bondits glue. There we go. I found this works really nicely, and I just do just a little dab, just on top, and a little squidge round. There's always a little bit that comes off as you do the lid, so I'm just going to put that on there. And I sand all the excess glue that comes off anyway. So take the top, pop it on, and just run it around, just to kind of get the glue evenly over every single part.
And was glad to have my two daughters with me and my wife, and so we were all in the house together. My son's still
there we go. And then I get it lined up so that it is eyed bang on. I mean, it's never going to be, you're never going to like stick the two parts together absolutely perfectly, but it doesn't matter, because as I say, it gets sanded after, and we clean up the edge. And the next thing to do is just basically clamp it straight in this vise. But I have to be, that hurt. Yeah, our vise lost the end, so this just dropped on my toe. I have to be quite careful here to make sure I don't move the ring now, because obviously I'm clamping it into position. Yeah, it looks good. I get it nice and tight and I leave it for about 20 minutes or so, and 20 minutes is long enough and it's pretty much set then. And then we'll get it out and we'll start hand sanding it, etc. I'll show you the process of that. So when I'm doing part-offs in the chuck, we can't have the parts catcher come out, which is the device that lets it all go into the drawer, because excuse me, if you can see the parts catcher, if it opens up, it actually catches the chuck of the jaw chuck, catches the jaws on the chuck. So we can't use that, so we have to just let it drop to the bottom, which is what this is. This is basically where all the swarf and stuff like that collects, that we like clear out and send for recycling after. So when I'm trying to find a part, sometimes I have to just sort of like hold the whole drawer up and let it drain out a bit, and there we go, there she is. So that's it, the raw part of the machine. Right, so I'm going to pop this out. He says pop it out, there we go. And if I'll see if I can try and show you what we're dealing with here. So hopefully it's going to focus. It's probably focused on me, so maybe I'll bring it here, or it's focusing on my hands. There's very slightly a lip just on this edge, and then there's glue that basically has obviously come out the sides of this, which is expected because as we squeeze it down we're going to get that situation. So if we get a Stanley knife, if I can find one somewhere. Okay. So the first thing I need to do is pop this out. So basically I just put the Stanley knife in, I'll come close again. I put the Stanley knife in this edge, just run it carefully around the edge. Just to release any glue that might have somehow seeped into the to the holder, onto the holder and onto the acrylic. And then I'm basically just gently twisting just to get this holder off. As I say, what I really need to do is just make this holder a little bit bigger, like the hole a bit bigger, and then I won't have this problem of trying to get it off. This was just the first holder that we built, and we haven't made any more since. And I mean, obviously, the more orders of these we get, the more likely it is we're going to start building batches. But there we go. So that's out. So next step now is we need to basically sand this edge and also sand the top as well. So we'll remove this film that comes from the lasering company because it is meant to be brushed anyway. Pop that in there. Right, so we take the film off. And I'm not really worried if I scratch even though it's got a brushed top, I'm not really worried if I scratch it right now because I'm going to rebrush it anyway. So in case you were wondering, oh, using a knife, yeah, I'm not worried. Now, this is the sander we predominantly use. You can see there's one in the background here, and we rarely actually use that. We normally use this hand sander, and it's just a really cheap Silverline. I'd really need to buy a radial sander. That would be quite useful. Now I'm just going to tilt the camera up just a little bit. There we go. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sand the edges. Sorry, before I do that. On this sander there's like a bit that isn't actually, so that bit's got a flat, as you can see it's kind of like metal in here. So you can go to make that flat. Here it's got a bit of give, so this is quite useful for the round portions. And that's basically where I'm going to put it. Now acrylic is quite heat sensitive. Well, not massively so, but obviously if you apply a lot of heat and a lot of abrasion it starts curling up. Now normally that would be a problem, but in this case it's fine because I go over it with a 1200 grit after by hand and I take away all that curling up. So it took a while to kind of work out the best way to do this. I found that what I do here works really well. Right, now we're going to brush the top. And this goes on the flat portion, and I just kind of run it back and forth. I find 120 gives quite a nice brush. We also have the, what are they, 3M pads. Now I will run over it again when it's all sorted. Let's just turn the radio off a minute. I don't know how much of the radio you can actually pick up. So this is our 1200. I've got some more 1200 coming actually because this is my last sheet. But I basically just now run it by hand all the way around the edge. and that cleans the acrylic up really nicely, although as long as I get on a fresh bit of 1200 on mine. So yeah, so I'm gonna hand sand this now, and then I'll show you the next stage in just a sec. Right, so I've pretty much cleaned up that edge. Now what we'll do is after it's assembled, we'll continue to sort of like clean it up after, but basically the sanding is done from that point of view. So next is this base. Now the base is where we always laser the back. Now this is our standard spike base now. So we used to actually make a separate halo top base, and then we kind of worked out that the threads etc were going to be the same, and therefore it means that we can just make spike bottoms, and if someone asks for a halo light, it's just a spike bottom. So again, we're trying to make as many parts as universal as possible, because obviously it means that from a manufacturing point of view, we're more efficient. We're not making parts and kind of like wasting them. So this is anodized. It's not been cleaned yet, but this is anodized. So you can see it's black at the moment, and therefore it's got its protective layer. Now, for anything, if we do like a recessed part, the bit that you're not going to see, we'll leave it just as anodized. We won't bother powder coating it, because if we powder coat it, if you pop it in the ground, you're going to chip off the powder coat, so it's just pointless. And the anodized protects the aluminium from corrosion. The aluminium is already a corrosion resistant grade, so it's already really, really well protected anyway. But by us giving the anodize on top of it, it just A, it finishes the part, and B, it just gives us an even better corrosion resistance. We could use 316 stainless steel, but in this case we opted to just use the spike backs, just because the 316 stainless steel is kind of unnecessary for its use in this particular case. So I'm gonna get the laser set up. I'm going to get you turned around over to the laser station, and we'll laser the bottom. So there's a ton of things going on over here. We'll try and focus on the lasering part itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I'm going to lean down here and just fire up the laser, and just get the program open. Now hopefully I'm not going to get my head in the way too much. Sorry, I will just get this. Get this open. Now I don't mind saying that this particular fitting is going to be for a company called Deltec, and Dan, who runs Deltec, I have sold some fittings for a little while, and we've had a longer relationship than I've had with a lot of clients. He was one of the first or earlier clients that I had. So it's nice that he still continues to come back, and he wanted a halo light as a sample. Now just so you know, for samples we do 50% off trade for sample fittings. So let me just get this program up. We've got this 3D printed insert that goes into the laser. Just to show you, this is the laser screen. Now the software is a Chinese, well I'd say it's a Chinese software. It's probably not a Chinese software, but it's sorry, I'm going to bring you around a little bit, yeah, just so that my head doesn't get in the way so much. There we go. Yeah, so it's the laser was from a company in China. The software's called ESCAD. It's not, I believe it's not Chinese software, but it might be, I don't know, but it kind of doesn't function like that. So just to give you an idea, and sorry about the screen flickering on here, but we've got our serial number that from each order that we need to firstly imprint on the back. So our serial here is 333. So since we've been recording serials, keep in mind. And that's only been for about 2.5 months now. As I say, we don't make many fittings, but maybe 3 months. Okay, so we've modified that to 333. The next thing I need to do, now I'm going to bring you down now to the actual the laser itself. Just to clear a little bit. It's a mess. yeah, kind of is what it is. So this is meant to fit, there we go, if I get it around the right way, in there, and then this pops in on top. Now the first thing I have to actually do is set the laser height itself. So in this case I have to raise the laser up because I was last lasering whisker spikes, these little beauties over here. Right, there we go, so we've got the height correct. Now the next problem we're going to have is trying to get the position correct. So that looks about right to me, so I think I'm going to go ahead and laser it. So this is the laser marking now. Yeah, I'd say that's right. Now the Hudson Lighting always looks a little bit off because the circle size is different. Yeah, that's about bang on. So I can, but every time I try and save this into the software and say, oh yeah, these positions are the positions I want, it never bloody saves. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a photo. So guys, I'm going to show you how the pond light back, so guys, I'm going to show you how the halo light back goes together. So we've got our standard protection circuit. It's really simple actually, just the lead just basically comes all the way through the fitting. Now there's an O-ring on the outside, as you can see. So what we do is we just do a little spray of silicone inside the fitting and a little spray on the outside. Just helps to ease the whole fixture in, and that just literally just pushes inside, and that basically seals the bottom section, and that's the same for all the spikes, etc. So now that's in, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get a O-ring for the thread, which I'm going to grab. Right, here's the O-ring for the thread, so that goes on there, and then we're going to do our thermal paste. So thermal paste just goes, there's a little lip just on the inside of this. Whoops, I try not to slip off of it, and it just goes just inside of, I'm doing a terrible job of this because I'm kind of trying to pay attention to camera as well. We'll clean it up in a second anyway, but there's the thermal paste in. And then in this particular case we've got a 4000K 1 watt LED. And all that does is just basically just plug into the sockets that are in the bottom and just push down, and that's it in place. So I'm just going to get something just to clean up this edge, and then we'll screw on the top. So clean that up now. So literally our stainless steel top's just going to basically screw straight onto that. Nice and tight. And that's the fitting assembled. So next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to put it in test in the cylinder. So there we go, and now you can see the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the power leads. If I've got a spare one, I just do basically one lead on its own. Otherwise I can series it up with other lights. Okay, for some reason it's not coming on. So I've just tested this, and sorry, hopefully the camera's going to grab focus. Let me just alright, we'll bring it over here. So I've just tested this, and basically the we only normally test the circuit itself. We don't normally test the back side, the negative side, which is just a pass through. But this is the second board that we've had fail on the negative side. And I'd like to say there isn't anything obvious, but it looks like the cable's actually come away from the soldered joint on the inside. So we're going to have to just cut this off and do a new one for this. But I've got other protection circuits which I can use, so it's not a problem. So I'm just going to grab one out of here. So here's another one that was recently poured. Sometimes they have like a bit of adhesive still on them on the outside, but we wax spray them so that the adhesive comes off easily. So I'm just going to quickly just grab a knife just to try and get the last bit off. We'll try again. Pull this through here, just need a little bit of silicone spray on there. We've obviously already got the silicone spray on the inside, so pop that down. Now, what did I do with the LED? This is typical fashion of what I do in here. There we go, got the LED. Pop that in. Now, before I do anything further, I'm just going to make sure that this actually works. It'd be rather embarrassing if this one doesn't either. Oh no, look, there we go. So that one's working, great. So I just need to find the top. And again, I don't know what I've done with it. There it is. But I mean, the point of this is that, as you can see, the protection circuit's replaceable, the LED's replaceable, everything is replaceable. And it just means that obviously from a fitting point of view, longevity wise, we're going to be better off. Anyway, so that's the fitting in. We're screwed together. So what I'm going to do now is just basically feed the light down the tube. And that's it now on test. So we'll leave that for 24 hours. And if when we take it out after 24 hours, if there isn't any moisture inside, then it passes the underwater test.